UK employers have less than 1 year to go until the London 2012 Olympics begin, which is the largest sporting event ever held in the UK. The Games commence on the 27th of July 2012 and more than 6.6 million tickets are being sold, and millions more without tickets are planning to take time off to enjoy the atmosphere. Some 5.3 million visitors to London are expected during the Games. Also, from the 29th of August until the 9th of September, we will be seeing the Paralympic Games in London, which is the world's second largest sporting event. Transport for London and London 2012 are visiting businesses to provide free help and advice to plan for their travel needs. During the Olympics and Paralympic Games, the pressure on London's transport will be huge, and this will have a significant impact on employers based in London. London's transport system is already viewed at running at near full capacity, and it is anticipated that over the busiest 9 days of the Games, there'll be more than 1 million extra journeys in London. It should also be remembered that the Olympic and Paralympic Games are not just taking place in London. Out of London venues for the Games include Kent, Eton Dorney, Coventry, Manchester, Glasgow, Hertfordshire, Cardiff, Newcastle and Dorset. However, the transport pressures in such areas are viewed as not likely to be as extreme as in London, but nonetheless could still cause problems. So what should businesses located in London and other venues for the Games be considering? If it is viewed that there could be transport problems caused by the Games where your business is located, the advice is to reduce your employees' need to travel. This may be done by, first of all, staggering the start and finish times of working days, providing the facilities of staff to work from home, temporarily relocating employees, or altering their working hours. Many employers will not have a contractual right to insist upon their employees' working hours and working patterns being changed. And it would be wise for employers to consult with employees and their representatives, including trade unions, before implementing their proposals. Communication will be key in avoiding employee relations problems. And if the process is dealt with sympathetically and professionally, most reasonable employees should agree to the temporary proposed changes in the way they work during the Games. Attendance issues are likely to arise for many employers during the Games. Many employees will want to book time off at the same time to either go to some of the events if they were lucky enough to get tickets, or to take time off to watch the Games on television. This is likely to be a greater problem during the more popular events and will inevitably put strains on businesses which have not provided employees with clear guidelines regulating the taking of holidays during the Games. So the advice is for employers to start preparing such guidelines now, and it is recommended to have them in place before Christmas, as it is anticipated that many employees will be booking holidays in January and February, when most employers' holiday years have just started. When preparing guidelines, there are many ways in which businesses could decide to deal with holiday leave issues. The most straightforward is probably to allow holidays on a first-come, first-served basis, or have a ballot, or perhaps limit the amount of holiday during the Games to, say, 5 days per employee, but for employees with children, such an approach is likely to be unpopular due to their children's school holidays. In any case, it would seem wise to encourage those employees who have tickets for the Olympics to book their time off far in advance of the Games to avoid disappointment. And it should be remembered that those with tickets have probably gone to a great deal of effort to secure their tickets and spent a substantial amount of money on their tickets. Personally, my advice would be to have guidelines which provide that all employees who have been successful in securing tickets would be treated preferably if they book their holiday entitlement off by a set time period, perhaps by the end of February. And if they haven't by this time, they would be treated the same as all other employees when it comes to booking holidays. So what happens if you have 2 employees allocated tickets on the same day, and if you need one of them to work? My advice that if alternative cover can't be found and it is essential to have one of the employees in, the only fair way to deal with the situation would be to toss a coin. Within the workplace, situations like this have a way of working themselves out, and the chances of employers finding themselves in this position are quite remote, so I wouldn't worry about things too much. Employees should also be flexible with their approach and should try to work around holiday leave issues during the games by allowing employees to work at different times of the day if this has no real impact on the business. By allowing certain employees to work different hours, perhaps a night shift or during the weekend on a flexi-time basis, this may result in less holiday leave being requested and needing to be turned down. It should not be forgotten that many individuals have volunteered to help with the games, and they may be required for the full 2 weeks and 3 days prior to the games. It is worth noting that there is no statutory right to take time off as a volunteer, and they will need permission to take such time off, whether it be through utilising their holiday entitlement or taking authorised unpaid leave. It would be sensible for employers to try to find out now whether any employees have volunteered to be game makers and decide if they are happy to allow such individuals to book time off now. As well as holiday issues arising in the workplace, a number of employees may decide to throw sickies because they were unsuccessful with their holiday request, or they simply don't want to eat into their existing holiday entitlement to watch the games. Of course, in such situations, this would be clear misconduct, and employers could take disciplinary action against any such employees taking unauthorised absence. The problem, however, is proving the individuals weren't actually sick. I've often found that comprehensive return to work interviews can reduce sickness absence, and some employers have reward schemes for employees with good attendance records. However, if a male employee doesn't turn up for work during the women's beach volleyball final, don't jump to conclusions. His man flu could be genuine. Another more positive way to encourage employees not to take unauthorised absence would be to try to create a fun and enjoyable atmosphere in the office with television screens set up. After all, this is the Olympics, and look at it as an opportunity to build relationships at work and create a culture where people are happy and looking forward to coming into work. Most employees will remember this, and you'll find much greater loyalty in the long run. Employees may well have their minds on other things than work during the Olympics, and to a degree, this shouldn't be too surprising. However, employers need to be careful not to allow employees to take things too far, and to know if they do, they could be subject to disciplinary action. The most sensible way to approach this is to communicate what is and isn't going to be allowed during the games with employees. For example, a reminder of the employer's internet live streaming policy may be useful, and where televisions are provided in the workplace, guidance on what employees are allowed to watch on television and when this is limited to would be advisable. Employers may also ban the use of certain sports websites and block them to ensure that employees are focused on their work when required. Where employers have a workforce made up of different nationalities and ethnic backgrounds, any policies regarding the watching of the games should not favour one group over another. For example, allowing English Team GB supporters to watch Mo Farah in the 5,000 metre final, but not allowing Jamaican supporters to watch Usain Bolt in the 100 metre final may lead to claims of unlawful discrimination and harassment. In multicultural workplaces, where there is likely to be some competitive banter and rivalry between employees of different nationalities or ethnic backgrounds, it may be wise for an employer to advise its workforce that potentially racist remarks won't be tolerated and refer them to the relevant equal opportunities and harassment policies. There may also be risks of unlawful sex discrimination claims and harassment where only male or only female events are chosen for collective viewing. So this again needs to be considered, and television time should be shared fairly between male and female employees. With the recent introduction of the Bribery Act earlier this year, corporate hospitality has been the subject of much discussion amongst businesses and senior executives. The Act makes it an offence to offer or receive corporate hospitality which was intended to bring about the improper performance of a relevant function, which includes any activity conducted with a business. Those found guilty of an offence under the Bribery Act could face 10 years in jail. However, don't be too worried. Everyday corporate hospitality shouldn't be caught by the Act, and this has been confirmed by the government in its guidance. With this in mind, it's fairly safe to say that taking a client to watch Usain Bolt break the 100-metre world record should be fine. However, taking this much further, if an employer offered to fly a client and his family to the UK from Australia for the duration of the Games and watch the 100-metre final with the intention of securing a lucrative new contract or cementing an existing business relationship, this could fall foul of the new legislation. So if you're thinking of substantial, very expensive client entertainment during the Games, it's worthwhile considering taking advice as to the risks of a breach of the Act in your specific circumstances. It should be remembered that where employees have breached the Bribery Act, an employer may have an adequate measures defence. The likelihood of such a defence existing will be dependent upon what anti-bribery policies and procedures you have in place, the training provided on the subject in the workplace, and other safeguards. To summarise, the best advice for employers is that for those affected by transport issues, they need to start thinking about how they're going to be managing them. Early communication with employees will be key in making things run smoothly, and flexibility with working times and locations will help. Also, organisations should consider before Christmas how they'll be managing holiday leave requests for time off to be taken during the Games. Will those with tickets and volunteers be given preferential treatment? Will there be greater flexibility during the Games to deal with increased holiday requests? And how will problems be resolved where employees' holiday leave requests need to be turned down due to the needs of the business? In addition to this, decisions need to be made as to what facilities will be available in the workplace for employees to watch the Games and what rules will apply. Also, employees may need to be reminded of certain standards of conduct to be retained during the Games, and guidance to the relevant policies and procedures would be very useful. Employers should also be considering putting together and circulating a policy specifically dealing with the Games if they haven't done so already. By planning in advance, I'm sure most employers will find their businesses will run smoothly during the Games and a good time will be had by all.